All right, hi. I wanted to give you a quick note about safety. So I have a program. I want to generate words and add them into a vector to process later. And I really want it to be fast because, well, generating the words takes a long time. So I do that with threads, of course. That's a natural solution that a lot of people will use. So I have a function, threaded work, that is working in many, many threads, and it's calling my write function. Hooray, I have some fast code because I use threads. And then I run it, and it doesn't work. It aborts. So what's going on? And I call Thread Sanitizer to help me because I use threads as a problem, and gives me this and 10 more screens. I don't really understand it, so I call the help tools, and my tool tells me, oh, you need to use a mutex or another synchronization mechanism because you cannot use the vector pushback in many threads at the same time. All right, I add mutex. Great, now it works. Oh, actually, I actually need to log. I log the mutex, and now, hey, nothing too fancy about that, right? We've all been there, and the code is old-fashioned, but many code bases are written like this. And now I'm wondering, can I get something, some help with this? Can I get help from the compiler that understands the code and helps me catch the errors? So yes, there's something called the Clang thread safety analysis. So take your code and you add annotations, and Clang analyzes it. So if we go back to the previous version where I forgot to add the lock, and we take it and we add a few things. A guarded by on the words vector. It says, hey, you want to modify the words, you need to get the mutex and some header that defines all those macros. And if I try to run this, which is incorrect because I don't lock, then I get a warning from my compiler that tells me, hey, you tried to use words, but you didn't have the mutex held before. So something that is very, very useful. How do you enable this? Well, it's a Clang thread safety analysis. So you need Clang, and you need to enable the warning. And then you need to have Clang understand your types. So if you're using the standard library, standard mutex and all that, you can, for example, use libc++. On Linux, it's a simple flag to pass. You need to rebuild everything with it, but that should be okay. If you're on Mac, you don't have to do anything. Ships with libc++, hooray. On Windows, you'll have to build your own libc++. LVM doesn't ship it built, so good luck with that. But it's possible. You have a define to add, and then it works. If you use boost types for some reason, there's a define you can have. If you use other standard libraries, maybe you can have someone submit a patch. I have one work in progress. We'll see about that. You can add a few more things, like, for example, annotations on functions. That says, for example, when you call this function requires a mutex to be held, because you don't want to hold the mutex every time you call this function. You grab the mutex first, and then you write many times in the vector. You can have annotations to annotate your own type, and there's a lot more things you can do with annotations, guarded by and acquire release, a lot of things. There's a lot of documentation for that. Benefits of this, well, it's compile time detection, so it's kind of cheap. It's nice. It improves the code clarity because, hey, this is guarded by its documentation in your code that explains exactly what you need to do. It's better than just a comment. And I think a good practice to have is than not have anything. Limitations, well, it's not perfect. The analysis has some cases that it doesn't understand. But if it doesn't work, well, you always have thread sanitizer and other types of analysis that you can use. Relies on annotating your code. If you don't annotate, it doesn't work. So yeah, can be verbose, but yeah, that's the cost of it. Documentations and old talks about this. A few numbers. Chrome uses it many hundred times, and it's used many times on GitHub. How many occurrences in your own code? 1 second to spare.